Dr. N. Ravisankar ji. Then second lecture will be on organic farming packages of practices for tuber and plantation crops. This will be taken up by Madam G. Suja, Principal Scientist from CTCRI Thiruvananthapuram. Then after lunch break, in the afternoon session, we have another lecture by Dr. Amit Nath ji, and he will be delivering a talk on value addition and processing of organic produces. And in the last lecture for today, we will be having a lecture by Dr. Chandra Bhanuji, and he will be taking a lecture on the preparation of different concoctions and scope and importance of vermicomposting. So I welcome you all in today's program and request Dr. Ravisankar sir to kindly deliver his talk on the scope and importance of natural farming. Friends, as we all know that nowadays the government is putting a lot of emphasis on strengthening this natural farming program throughout the country. So what are the different principles of natural farming? What are the methodologies for carrying out this natural farming in a better and more profitable manner? Strategies to achieve higher yields and income through this natural farming. Through all these aspects will be covered by Dr. N. Ravisankar sir. I request sir to kindly start delivering your talk, sir. Dr. N. Ravisankar sir.
Thank you, madam. Thank you. Thank you, madam. Very good morning to all of you. Again, I would like to make this session also as an interactive session, so that you will have a better understanding about the natural farming, which is gaining importance due to the promotion by the government of India and also several state governments, like even Kerala state, and also in some of the states like Himachal Pradesh, Gujarat, they are pushing this natural farming in a very big way in order to have a ecological system of farming and also reduce the climatic or the greenhouse gas emission footprints from the agriculture. So just I will share the presentation. So this presentation is visible?
Yes, sir, it's visible, sir.
Okay. So participants, can anyone describe about the natural farming? What do you understand by the natural farming? Anyone, any volunteers? Please respond. What happened? Mute all kar diye kya? You can unmute and then speak.
What we understand regarding natural farming is that there should not be any outside input, and there should not be more disturbance, means more tillage and like that. That should be the concept.
Which one? Okay, there should not be any external inputs.
Yeah, in natural farming,
and no tillage after all.
Zero tillage.
Okay. You are from which state? You are from Ajay Mohita. You are speaking.
Yeah.
You are from which state?
Maharashtra, sir.
Maharashtra. Okay, from Maharashtra only this concept emerged. Okay, this particular concept of natural farming emerged from the Maharashtra. Okay, then. So this is your understanding. Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah, in natural farming, Amol here.
Yeah. Amol Shinde. Yeah, please.
Yeah, in natural farming, we are not using a chemical fertilizer, and as well as we are using ecological, means environmental friendly, like crop residue or botanical materials to give to our crop. So that kinds of different strategy we are implemented in natural farming.
Okay. Then anybody else?
Good
Sir,
morning, sir.
maintaining the farm.
One by one, please. Yeah, Gauri Sharma, please.
Yes, good morning, sir. Sir, as it is already being discussed that in natural farming, we prohibit the use of chemicals and all. Sir, one more thing I want to add that in this natural farming, we inculcate the use of the indigenous, that is desi cow, instead of jersey and all.
Okay.
And the cow dung is also, the cow dung which we use is also from desi breed.
Okay. Then this is your understanding of only using the desi cow in the natural farming. Okay. Then
Sir.
anybody else?
Good morning, sir.
Santosh from Telangana. Good morning, sir.
One by one. Dr. Pranav?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, what I understand from this natural farming, I think it's a umbrella of all the traditional farming system that has been developed during all our previous period, whether it's organic farming or human farming, biodynamic farming. It's an umbrella covering all the different types of traditional farming systems.
Okay. Then?
Good morning, sir. I am Chandran from Nilgiris. So this natural farming, it can be used for the crops like the deep-rooted system, plantation crops like that, because the voracious feeders like these vegetable crops and like this need more technology, more inputs, so that this natural farming has to be adapted for the plantation crops and deep-rooted crops like this.
Okay. Okay. Then anybody else?
Sir, Santosh, sir.
Uh,
Sir, actually, natural farming is nothing but traditional farming. And it already our fellow participant already discussed regarding this. And it based on agroecology. I mean, it involves all crops, trees, livestock, etc. Sir.
Okay.
Rather than, I mean, chemical free.
Okay. That is organic farming is also chemical free. Then why why we are calling it as natural farming? What is the difference between natural farming and organic farming? Can anyone explain?
Sir, natural farming is maintaining the ecology, the natural ecology.
Organic farming also maintains the ecology.
No, sir. Organic
Why?
farming doesn't maintain natural ecology.
Why?
We don't synthesize artificial inputs in organic
No.
farming.
The basic concept of organic farming is also maintaining the ecology, diversity, all those things. Okay.
Like it natural farming में मेरा विचार से कि वो जैसा है वैसे ही प्रकार में लेना है, like it's like a forest management.
It is like a forest management. Yes. Okay. So that means we do not do any interventions there.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then anybody else? What you understand? So you all described about this is the traditional system, or this is the combination of the various systems like homo farming, organic farming, and all those things. And now I ask you, what is in your opinion, or whatever the knowledge you have, what are all the practices which are involved in the natural farming? Can anyone describe practices? I am talking about the practice.
Sir, first of all, there is intercropping.
Okay, intercropping. Then,
Sir, secondly, we don't use the hybrid seeds. We use the traditional seeds. Sir, the seeds, we don't use the hybrid seeds.
Hybrid seeds are not allowed under natural farming. Where did you study this? Hybrid seeds.
Sir, because the hybrid seed is being treated by the fungicide, so that's why in natural farming the fungicide and all it is restricted. No, that's why.
Okay. Then what are all the other practices?
Sir, sowing off. Sir, sowing off.
Zero tillage operations, sir.
Zero tillage operations. Okay.
Sir, mulching is an important operation.
Mulching is one of the important components. Okay.
Yeah. And composting, sir. Composting in the farm level.
Okay. See, when we are growing, or we are taking the food all the 3 times, breakfast, lunch, dinner, so many things we are taking. Okay. And we are also taking all the other things also. And likewise, plants also requires nutrients. So under natural farming, how the nutrients will be available to the plants? Can anyone guess, or can anyone inform whether the the nutrient requirement of the crops can be met through the natural farming? Suppose somebody told that it is like a forest system. In the forest system, we are not removing anything. Whatever the leaf litter, it falls, it gets decomposed, and then the soil gets enriched, and then we are not removing anything. But in the cultivated cropping systems or the cultivated crops, what we are doing, we are taking the grains for human, and then straw for the animal component, or the very little we are giving back to the soil. So in this case, under this scenario, how the plant's nutrient demand can be met? Can anyone tell whether
Crop rotation.
Suppose
Crop
a
rotation.
rice crop is grown, it requires around 100 kg of nitrogen, 120 kg of nitrogen. Okay. So where from this nitrogen?
Crop rotation, algae. Algae
It can
crop
be done
rotation.
by green manure
Crop
cropping,
rotation.
sir.
One by one. Ajay Mohte.
Sir.
It can be done by crop rotation, and that bugling algae, cultivation of algae, like that.
Sir, hello.
Yes.
Gliricidia is the one of the component to supply nitrogen.
Which one? Which is
rice
one of
bed.
the component?
Gliricidia.
No. What is that? I'm not getting clear. Your voice is not clear.
Giripushp in Marathi. Gliricidia.
Giripedia.
Gliricidia. Giripushp in Marathi.
Okay. We are not able to understand what you are this one. Okay, no problem. Okay. Then
saying the application of Gliricidia.
Gliricidia. Okay. Gliricidia. Okay.
Sir, the thing is green manuring and crop rotation and cover crops. These will give the nutrients to the main crop.
No, whether this practices can give 120 kg of nitrogen or the full requirement of the crop?
Not full requirement, sir, but they can supplement nitrogen requirements to the crops.
Okay.
But sir, but not only with this, with the crop will get total 100% nitrogen. Again, we have to do some applications.
Yes. Okay. So now, now I could get what is your current level of information or the knowledge you have on the natural farming. Let me
The cultivation of that legumination crops, as an intercrop, it will adding more nitrogen to the soil.
Okay. All these are correct. And how much it can meet the nutrient? Yeah, Umesh Badane, you want to say something? Umesh Badane, you want to say something? Mute कर देना ये सबको. नहीं सब mute all मत करना. Count किसका sound आ रहा हूँ. So okay, so I will continue my lecture. I could able to understand what you are understanding about the natural farming. And before going into the details of the natural farming, let me tell you what is the current situation of the Indian agriculture. Okay, and whether we should promote the natural farming in all the regions, or it should be promoted in the selected regions or the selected crops. All these can be understood from this particular slide. One is we have 2.4% of the world land, and from that land we have to meet the food requirement of the 17.5% of the world population. And this particular food requirement has to be met with the varied constraints. Like we have a 50% area still under the rainfed regions suffering from for want of water. And then so 58% of the population still they depends on the agriculture, especially for their necessities of the life, livelihood, etc. Then the monsoon and market, these two are playing a very important role in the livelihood of the farmers. And especially the monsoon under the climate change scenario, it is either high or it is very low, even in the rainfed region and also in the irrigated region. Wherever there is a heavy rainfall, that results into the high amount of crop damage and also the loss to the farmers. So and also out of 20 agroecological zones, we have 8 zones having less than 150 days of length of growing period. Means we can grow the crops only less than 150 days in a year. So these are all the certain limitations which are available in our country. And with this, we have to feed our population, which is expected to be 1.7 billion in the year 2050. And to feed the 1.7 billion population, we need around 405 million tons of food grains. And currently, our food grain production is 308.65 million tons. And all these we have achieved with the scientific development and also the a mix of conventional practices, also a mix of modern hybrids or the other important technological developments in the field of agriculture. But still, out of 746 districts which are available in the country as of now. Mute karo, yeah. So out of these 746 districts, there are 239 districts still they consume less than 100 kg of nutrients per hectare, and also the less than national average area of national average consumption of the pesticides, which is around 0.55 kg active ingredient per hectare. So even in this 239 district also, there are around 125 districts, they consume less than 25 or 50 kg of nutrients. So these are all the low hanging fruits or the first tier states wherein we should promote this kind of natural farming, where the scope exists for the increasing the production through the natural farming. Otherwise, if in the high input intensive areas, if the natural farming is promoted in the first year itself, there is a yield reduction, and then later on it may get increased. Later on, after improvement of the soil fertility and other parameters, the natural ecosystems, the yield may get increased. Then what are all the different prevailing farming systems? We know there is a conventional farming system wherein many of the farmers, they use chemical inputs for the yield maximization, especially the fertilizers and pesticides. Then high yielding and hybrid seed varieties are utilized for the prevailing systems. And most of these prevailing systems are the monocrop based, like rice based systems, or the wheat is the major dominant crop, or the maize is the dominant crop. And they do not grow any kind of intercropping or cover cropping, trap crops. All those systems are not there. And here in the conventional system, the major aim is only the yield maximization, and that has resulted into the lot of disadvantages also in terms of soil health over a period of time, degradation of the natural resources, deterioration of the natural resources like water, soil, and also the natural ecosystems. So this is about the conventional system. The conventional system is different from the organic farming. In the organic farming, in the last 4 or 5 days, you must have learned many things. It combines the tradition, innovation, and science. It also allows the market inputs also. It also allows the outside the inputs also. But with these some standards, that standards are having the equivalence with the other countries also. And here also the main important is that biomass recycling. It also allows the use of off-farm inputs such as compost, biopesticides, biofertilizers, minerals, and supplementary sources to compensate for the nutrient deficits. Because when we are removing the fodder for the animals, either green fodder or the dry fodder for the animals and grains for the human, we need to compensate those nutrients in the soil which are removed by the human and livestock for their survival. So organic farming per se, it allows the off-farm inputs also. And here the soil health rejuvenation is done through the microbial and also the organic matter enrichment. So this is about the organic farming. When come to the natural farming is the concept of natural farming. This emerged from the, although it was there earlier, like one straw revolution and also Fukuoka farming, all those was there. This got momentum in India with the intervention of the Padma Shri Subhas Palekarji from Maharashtra. He tried several options of this use of preparation of the on-farm inputs using the cow-based products like cow urine, cow dung, and also the undisturbed soil, and then using the pulse floor. So many things he mixed it and then he tried. And he found that the nutrients which are available in the soil, it is estimated to be around 8,000 to 12,000 kg of total nitrogen is available in the soil as per the estimates. That can be made available to the plants, through the application of the microbial consortia, which is prepared from the locally available resources. So this is what the natural farming proponent which he conceived and then he was promoting. Apart from this, the enhancement of soil humus can also be done through the other practices like intercropping, then mulching, and also the other practices like reduced irrigation through the WAPSA and all those methods, which I will explain in a detailed way in the next slide. So basically the natural farming concept is, it focuses on the cost minimization and also the sustainability, and mostly the cow product based farming system and use of on-farm organic inputs only. Off-farm inputs are off-farm inputs are not allowed under the natural farming. And the focus is on the good agricultural practices, which includes the intercropping practices or other management practices like mulching with the crop residues, etc. Then the multi-layered cropping or the multiple cropping is one of the must practicing component under the natural farming. And currently it is promoted in the AP, HP, Gujarat, and also in some parts of the Kerala state also. So the natural farming, organic farming, and conventional farming, these three are having the distinctive difference for the practice in the field. Then coming to the what is natural farming, it comprises of four pillars. In some of the participants, they have very clearly mentioned it is a agroecology based diversified farming system. This integrates the multiple crops, trees, livestock with functional biodiversity. Functional biodiversity both above ground as well as the below ground. Below ground also the soil microbial biodiversity is enhanced through this type of systems, and in the above ground through the plant diversity, the multiple functional biodiversity is created through the natural farming systems. And some of the perceived benefits, although it is not proven scientifically still now, some of the perceived benefits of the natural farming are, it reduces the cost of cultivation, because it says that the natural farming concept says that when we grow many of the crops, the intercropping is done. That intercropping income from the intercropping can meet the cost of the main crop. So that is why in the initial days it was proposed as the zero budget natural farming. When Padma Shri Swas Palekar, he proposed as the zero budget natural farming in the initial stage, and we asked the farmers or the stakeholders who are involved in the natural farming why it is called as the natural zero budget natural farming. Then they said is that the zero budget word is used mainly the income from the intercropping or the other crops can meet the cost of cultivation of the main crop. So that is why it is named as the zero budget natural farming. However, we referred the many of the literatures and we found that the World Bank also recognized the natural farming, and World Bank clearly mentioned that the farming or the zero budget natural farming or the farming in a situation which can be called as zero budget under the two situations. Two situations means we should not use any of the market inputs for doing the farming, including the labor, including the chemical fertilizers, including the pesticides, or including the organic inputs also. This is the one situation wherein you should not use any of the inputs from the outside. Then the second is that you should not take any loan for doing the farming. If these two situations are met, if these two conditions are met, then the farms can be made as called as the zero budget natural farming as per the World Bank, which has analyzed the different scenarios of the farming in different countries. So we must understand. Then we also discussed in our brainstorming session. Then later on, this zero budget natural farming, which is impossible under the current situation of the Indian scenario. Then later on, it was shifted to the Subhas Palekar natural farming. Now, this is referred as the natural farming, or the government of India is promoting this natural farming under the banner of Bharatiya Prakriti Krishi Paditi. So under which these natural farming practices are being promoted by the government of India. And it is also perceived that it reduces the water requirement of the crops. It is climate change resilient, reduces the risks in farming. It reverses the land degradation and also protects the health because we are not using any chemical inputs. And there is a sustainable yield and year-round incomes. Although the data generation for proving all these benefits are in progress through our institute, through our All India Network program on organic farming, the initial results are available, which I will share in the subsequent slides. So I said the natural farming, it is a complete harmony with nature. It is eco-friendly, self-regulatory. There is no certification system. There is no standards, or there is no kind of a package of practices, fixed package of practices right now. And then self-nursing, self-sustaining, and there is no, it should not use any off-farm inputs. It includes several of the concoctions, like for meeting the nutrient requirement of the crops or for enhancing the microbial activity from the soil. This solid and liquid Jivamrit are used, like Gana Jivamrit and also the Drava Jivamrit. These two are utilized for the enhancing the microbial activity from the soil. Then Bijamrit is utilized for this one. How these are prepared, all these will be covered in the already covered in some of the classes, and some in the subsequent classes also it will be covered how these inputs are prepared. Then apart from this utilization of these four pillars, this inside circle, Bijamir, Jivamir, the Achdana, that is mulching, is very mandatory requirement under the natural farming, mulching. So this mulching can be achieved through the two ways. One is the through the live mulching by using the cover crop, intercrops, which can cover the ground of the field completely, so that the moisture is conserved, weed infestation is reduced, and then the soil humus can be built up into the soil. Then this can also be achieved through the crop residue mulching, like dead mulches can be, crop residues can be utilized as the mulching. So that way also it can be achieved. And then the WAPSA condition needs to be created in the field. In order to have that WAPSA condition can be created by enriching the soil humus through these other practices like application of Bijamrit, Jivamrit, Achidana, and also irrigating in the alternate furrows, and also reduce the irrigation. So it creates the aeration, and that helps for the root development of the crops. So these are all the certain practices which are promoted in the natural farming. Apart from that, this also includes, hello. So apart from this, this also includes the multiple cropping, crop rotation, then utilization and multiplication of this desi earthworm, and plant protection is mostly done through these Brahmastar, Agniastar, Neemastar, all these kind of things. Then I told there are 4 pillars. The first pillar is the this utilization of the seed treatment. Seed treatment is very important. It is through the done Bijamrit, it is a microbial seed coating done through the cow urine and also the dung based formulations. The second is the Jivamrit application at frequent stages, like 250 kg of gun Jivamrit is applied per hectare at the beginning of before sowing, and again Jivamrit is applied at the rate of 500 liters per hectare at every 15 days interval for the crop growth, and that is applied through the irrigation or in the soil practice, and this act as the inoculum of microbes through the prepared from the cow dung, cow urine, and also the undisturbed soil which is having the higher amount of microbes like nitrogen fixing factor, nitrogen fixing microbes, and also the phosphobacteria and all those things. Then the ground to be covered with the crops and also the dry mulching, crop residues mulching. Then the soil erosion should be enhanced in the soil through humus buildup and also the alternate furrow of irrigation. Somebody is doing annotation. Count kar raha hu ye annotation. Count kar raha hu annotation. Count kar raha hu, bataiye count kar raha hu. Somebody is doing the annotation in the screen. Please avoid this such type of practices. Okay, this is not good. So and also this natural farming practice is continuously evolving, and many of the farmers, they are also adopting, apart from these all these 4 pillars. फिर से शेयर करना पड़ेगा. ये annotation कैसे आया नीचे? Okay, annotation stop कर सकता, आपका option होगा ना इसमें, मतलब वो annotations का कुछ होगा, ठीक है. Oh, so this solid and liquid concoctions, these are prepared using the cow dung, cow urine, pulse floor, undisturbed soil, and jaggery, water, lime. And this application dose is given here. Basically, this particular practice is for the soil microbial enhancer. Then the second practice, which is mandatory in the natural farming, is multi-cropping or the intercropping. This is mandatory practice, and the concept says that we need to keep the soil covered for 365 days, and then either through the live mulch and also the crop residues mulch, and minimum disturbance to the soil, minimum tillage. All these are the integral part of this natural farming practice, and these practices are scientifically proven. But you know, this intercropping or the mulching, this has been recommended in many of the literatures, many of the crop production guides in many of the states. But then, although it is scientifically proven, it has the application limitations, because intercropping, once you go for the intercropping, the harvesting becomes the difficult. You have to employ the manpower. You have to employ the manually. You have to go for the harvesting of the crops. That again sometimes increases the cost of cultivation also. Also, these cover crop, covering the ground with the crop residues especially, it has got the application limitation, mainly on account of the competitive demand, like crop residues in southern India and also the eastern India. Many of the crop residues like rice straw, maize stalk, and many of the crop residues are utilized as the fuel materials or for the livestock feed. Livestock feed is the major problem. So this is, although it is a scientifically proven practices, it has the application limitations. So we also need to consider while implementing these type of practices, these are all the highly location specific and also the contextual specific, and we need to conceptualize the practices depending upon the particular situation. Then this WAPSA can be created by building the soil humus, increasing the soil erosion through the alternate furrow irrigation. And again, this is again a scientifically proven practice. Again, it has these application limitations at the field level. Then for pest and disease management, the locally prepared on-farm inputs like use of sprays, Agniastras, Daspernia, Brahmastra, Nemastra, these are being recommended. And although the scientific evidence for this particular control of this one, these are the scientific evaluation is in progress. Also, these can only be utilized as the prophylactic. That means like preventive measures only. We can utilize these practices for the pest control. And even many of the practices, like some of the other practices, like which is also emerging in the natural farming, based on the experience of the Andhra Pradesh farmers. So that also includes, they integrate the PMDS. PMDS means pre-monsoon dry seeding. How this is done, I will explain. Then IPM practices such as trap crops, biocontrol agents, application of neem seed kernel extract, so mechanical traps, these are also integrated into the natural farming systems nowadays. But this is a evolving, and there people are adding the practice, one practice after another practice. So this is in nutshell about the current scenario of practices which are adopted by the some of the states where this natural farming is being promoted. Coming to the PMDS, what is PMDS? PMDS, as per the experience of the Andhra Pradesh, they are saying that the PMDS means pre-monsoon dry seeding is mandatory for under the natural farming, and the PMDS helps for enhancing the soil microbial activity for nutrient release, and also it also suppresses the soil-borne pathogens or the disease control mechanisms. Also, it helps. It also it also helps for reducing the weeds under the natural farming systems. So, how this PMDS is practiced in the Andhra Pradesh is that before the Kharif season, during the dry season or the fallow period, under the conventional system or the organic farming, farmers, they used to grow only the green manure crops. But in this case, this PMDS, what the farmers are doing is that, what the farmers are asked to do is that, it is take the mixture of the seeds, like cereal seeds, pulses seeds, oil seeds, then you have got a fiber crops, you have got a fodder crops. There should be need to take the seeds of all the crops, and that seeds should be mixed thoroughly and then broadcasted on the field during the fallow period. And whatever the crops which are coming to the maturity within the period of 60 or 70 days before sowing of the kharif crop, that can be harvested, and the remaining biomass which is available on the ground, that should be incorporated into the soil. So what is that, what we understand as a scientist, how this practice is maybe helpful for the crop production is, when we grow the several crops, there will be allelopathic chemicals which are released from the released from the root zone. On the other day, the nematode control mechanism, Dr. Kamal Klari, he explained about the release of the chemicals from the root system. So similarly, there are, when we grow the many other crops, certain chemicals are released from the roots, and that particular chemicals may enhance the microbial activities in the soil, and also it can suppress the disease-causing soil-borne pathogens. So that way, this particular practice is found to helpful for the crop production under the natural farming systems. So till now, any doubt or any clarification, you can ask me, and then I will move forward. It may take another 15-20 minutes. Till now, if you have any doubt, then you can clarify. Mute kar diya, mute all kar diya. You can unmute and then speak.
No doubt, sir. No doubt, no doubt.
No doubt, it is clear. Can anyone explain?
Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Hello, sir.
Yes, yes.
Sir, why these GMOs shouldn't be included in organic farming?
Which one?
GMOs.
Geometry can be utilized included in the organic farming. There is no this one. Okay, that I will come in the last slide. I will be concluding. Okay, so I will tell how to include in the organic farming. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Okay.
Sir, I have one doubt.
Yes, yes.
Sir, like achhadana means mulching. What is that literally meaning of WAPSA?
WAPSA? It is the WAPSA it is like creating the soil aeration.
Okay.
Okay, soil aeration by building the soil humus. Okay. Yes, and also the alternate furrow irrigation, we can reduce the water requirement of the crops. And once the soil aeration is given, then the root development, nutrient uptake all gets improved. It is a scientifically proven practice. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So this is about what we are saying is that the natural farming, since it does not allow any off-farm inputs, it entirely depends on the on-farm inputs and depends on the nutrient supply. For nutrient supply, it depends mainly on these microbial concoctions and also the polycropping, including the pulses in the crop combinations. So there may be a better nutrient deficiency may occur at the initial stages before the soil humus buildup or the nutrient of the soil. So that is again one of the major concern in the natural farming, and this is actually under the integrated crop management practice, which is found to be better in terms of increasing the soil health as well as the crop, reducing the synthetics in the farming also. This also integrated farming crop management also promotes the recycling of crop residues. And here in natural farming also we use the mulch. Whereas the main difference between the ICM and the natural farming is the use of inputs like organic inputs. Also the need-based application of the chemical inputs are permitted under the ICM. Whereas in the natural farming, it depends entirely on the locally prepared that concoctions. Then these biofertilizers, efficient genotypes, all these are allowed under the integrated crop management or the conventional systems or under the organic farming. While the natural farming, it uses varieties that are resistant to natural and biotic stresses. Like you can also, in the natural farming, you can also use the hybrids. It is not that, but they are saying that it should be resistant to a particular disease or the insects. So those type of varieties should be utilized under the natural farming systems. Then this is about just one example how you can do the natural farming or how you can promote in the natural farming for your cropping systems. So here in summer or the fallow period, you need to practice, mandatorily you need to practice the PMDS. That is the mixed sowing of 5 crop, like you can take any cereal, any pulse, oil seed, green manure or fodder crop, mix it, broadcast it on the field, and then allow the crops to grow. And whatever the crops come to the maturity, you harvest it. Remaining crops you incorporate it into the soil. Then during the Kharif and Rabi season, you need to go for the seed treatment with the Bijamrit, then Ganajivamirth application, Jivamirth application, mulching with the crop residues, and also intercropping is mandatory. Intercropping is mandatory, and also the prophylactic application of these astras, then IPM mechanical traps, all those kind of practices you can incorporate it into the systems. So this Jivamirth and Ganjivamirth preparation, it is already covered. So this is just a methodology which is practiced here. And mainly how this is being how this is helpful for enhancing the microbial population. See, when we are using the components, this cow dung and the undisturbed soil, which is utilized for preparing the Jivamirth and Ganjivamirth, it acts as a source of microbes. Source of microbes, which is multiplied by supplying the energy through the jaggery and basin, and then this jaggery, basin and cow urine also acts as some kind of nutrients and also the organic source for the multiplication of the microbes. So this way, each and every ingredient of the Jivamirth and Ganjivamirth is having the separate role, and the main role is the source of microbes, which we have compared. And often what happens, the proponents, they claim that you must have also heard how many of you heard that one cow with one cow we can do the 30 acres farming? How many of you have heard or listened or read? Have anyone read or
Yes,
heard about 1 acre and 1 cow and 30 acre farming?
Yes, we have heard, sir.
You have heard?
Yeah.
Okay, you have heard. How, whether you have analyzed yourself, whether we can do the one with 1 cow 30 acre farming, whether we can do?
I believe, but I have never experienced.
You were never experienced, whether you have analyzed?
Sir, I heard and read also.
You heard and read also, or how many of you believe that with 1 cow we can do the 30 acre farming?
Or
anybody?
I doubt. Yeah, I believe, sir, but
yeah,
I believe it, sir.
You believe, Ravisankar, but you believe.
Sir, because sir, it was found that in 1 gram of desi cow's dung, sir, there are 2 to 3 crore beneficial microbes, whereas Jersey breeds are concerned, exotic breeds are concerned. In 1 gram of dung, there were 60 to 70 lakhs of microbes.
No, that microbes is okay. Okay, that is one part. So, Ravisankar, you believe, how you justify yourself?
Sir, multiplication of microbes by doing the Jivamrut and also usually in Bijamrut, then it is possible in 30 acres of land is done by 1 cow.
Okay, so no, then I will ask you, the recommended quantity of this one is 250 kg of Ganjivamirth and then 500 liters of Jivamirth to be applied. Okay, applied every 15 days to the crop. Okay, so for preparing all these items, Ganjivamirth and Jivamirth, you need the dung and urine. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so you 1 cow how much it can produce? The total quantity of, see, we have calculated. One committee was constituted by ICAR for completely studying the natural farming, and we estimated that the total quantity of ingredients needed to prepare this Ganjivamirth and also the Jivamirth and Bijamirth for one crop cycle, means 2 crops, the whole year, 2 crops, we need this much of 580 kg of dung and also the 190 kg of urine. Okay, so based on the production of the per cow per year, we took the average, the range, minimum and maximum. It ranges from the 2 tons to 4 tons. The urine, it ranges from the 1825 to 2190 liters per cow per year. So we worked out this type of using this Ganjivamrit, Jivamrit, Bijamrit. One cow can support 4 to 6 acres of land, while the urine, from the one cow can be utilized for the 9 to 11 acres of land, not 30 acres. So we also need to see, even after considering microbial multiplication and also the application at the field. So this is the range, 4 to 6 acres, we can prepare the inputs of the Ganjivamrit, Jivamrit, Bijamrit. Similarly, this 9 to 11 acres, this urine one cow urine can be utilized for preparing these inputs. So you all must be very clear on these aspects, because while recommending to the others, we also should speak with the data, or we should speak with the supporting evidences. Okay, clear?
Yes, clear.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Clear, sir.
Okay. So what is there in this Jivamrit or the Ganjivamrit, and how this is helping for the crop production? We took this because this undisturbed soil plays a very important role in the microbial enhancement of this Jivamrit and Ganjivamrit, and we took forest soil, 3 forest soil from the West Bengal, like North Bengal, Salboni and Sundarban forest soil. There was a very huge difference in the microbial population in these 3 type of soils. Okay, and ultimately after analyzing, we found that there is a significant variation in the microbial population depending upon the source of soil, source of undisturbed soil, which you are utilizing for preparing the Jivamrit and Ganjivamrit, or this one. Okay, so this is very, very important, that the location specific practice or the standardization of this application of Jivamrit is very, very critical. You cannot say that the soil, undisturbed soil which is taken in the Punjab, undisturbed soil which is taken in the Tamil Nadu or Kerala will have the same kind of microbes. So it is again highly contextual and also the highly location specific, and we need to be very careful while recommending this type of preparations. If that is because unless we standardize these particular protocols, then we also found that these free living nitrogen fixers, phosphorus solubilizing bacteria and potassium solubilizers are found in these preparations, and this helps to mobilize the phosphorus, potassium, and also fix some kind of nitrogen, some amount of nitrogen in the soil. You all might have studied during your UG course or PG course, with the application of biofertilizers or with the application of some microbial cultures, we can meet to the maximum extent, how much? 25% of the nitrogen or 25% of the nutrients. Probably you all must have studied in your UG programs or the PG programs. So that is what we should not depend only on these sources for meeting the nutrient requirement. In addition to this application of these inputs, we also need to promote the other practices which can meet the nutrient requirement of the crops. Clear? Nobody is responding.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Clear?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. So we have also studied this microbial load in this one. Different literatures are also available. Basically, these bacteria, fungi, actinomycetes, sand fixers, P solubilizers, this helps helps to enhance the nutrient availability from the soil. And you can see here up to 9th or 10th day, there is a significant increase in population of the liquid Jivamrit, and 290% improvement in fungi, 1200% improvement in actinomycetes, nitrogen fixers, and P solubilizers are found. So the right time of application of this one after preparation, the right time of application is also very, very important in case of these concoctions in order to have this one. And there is a very huge variation in the microbial population, as I have explained in the earlier slide, depending upon the source of material which you are utilizing for the preparing these inputs. Then this particular slide is very, very important. This particular slide is very, very important. How much of the through this application of concoctions, there are two ways of addition of the nutrients. One is the direct addition, another one is the indirect addition of the nutrients. The direct addition is direct supplementation of the nutrients from these sources, whereas the indirect addition of the nutrients are from which are mobilized by the microbes and then supplied from the soil or through the nitrogen fixation. Okay, so that is the indirect addition. So we measured what is the direct addition and how much these natural farming practice, each of the natural farming practice can meet the nutrient demand of the crops. Here, if you look at this direct addition from the liquid Jivamrit is only 4.9% of the requirement of the total nitrogen. Ghana Jivamrit can meet only 1.5% of the nitrogen. Then this nitrogen fixation, that is the indirect contribution to the nutrient by Jivamrit is found to be 9.3% of the total requirement. The Bijamrit is only 0.4%. And then the mulching of dried crop residues, that is one of the integral practice of the natural farming. So this can meet around 6.58% of the nutrient requirement of the crops. Then intercropping can contribute to the almost 17% of the nutrient requirement or the nitrogen requirement per se. Then apart from this azolla mulching, and also some of the farmers are they are applying around this farmyard manure also in the natural farming practices. That can contribute around 31%, this azolla and farmyard manure. So roughly all these practices of natural farming, which are mandatorily to be practiced, if it is completely practiced, this can meet the nutrient requirement of the crops at the initial stage, at the initial level. Means somebody is moving from the conventional systems or the inorganic systems to the organic, these natural farming systems. These practices can meet to the extent of 70% of the nitrogen requirement of the crops only. So the remaining 30% needs to be supplied through the other sources at the initial stage. The long duration results are still awaited, so we need to wait for some more time. So the natural farming, it reduces the cost of cultivation as claimed or perceived this one. But then this involves the several of the practices, which also involves the manual interventions or the labor cost. So that also we need to keep in mind while promoting this type of natural farming practices. Okay, but many of these practices are very common in the organic farming or the conventional, these integrated crop management practices, which can be promoted in the natural farming also, or some of the natural farming practices like utilization of Jivamrit, Ghana Jivamrit can be practiced in the ICM or in the organic farming system also. Somebody raised the hand.
No, sir.
Yes, sir.
Ajay.
Yes, sir.
Ajay Mohite, he has raised his hand, sir.
Yeah, Ajay.
Sir, Jaina is here, sir. Me,
Okay.
Jaina speaking, sir.
Jaina.
Sir, we were talking about actinomycetes also in the microbial microbial life in the soil. Why no actinomycete is discussed commercially, sir? Is there not? People say there is a lot of things to be understand from actinomycetes, but no university or no institute discuss about actinomycetes in detail.
Why you are saying no? Why nobody is discussing? How you are saying that nobody is discussing actinomycetes? Otherwise, actinomycetes is estimated by all the scientists and all the publications you can find.
As of now,
No. Your point is not correct. In many of the microbial publications, you can find actinomycetes also. It plays a very important role. Okay.
Can you detail a few words about actinomycetes, sir?
Hello.
Can you please detail a few words about actinomycetes?
No, your voice is not clear. It is a echo. Echo is there. Echo is there.
He wants to know about actinomycetes and its role.
Which one?
Actinomycetes and its role in natural farming or compost.
No, actinomycetes, it has got its own advantages of the mobilizing the nutrient and also disease suppressing aspects in the soil and all those things. I think our microbiologist can explain in very well. But it is having a very important role. Actinomycetes also play a very important role in the this natural farming and also the organic farming systems in terms of contributing for the nutrient and also this disease suppressing aspects.
Yeah, actually I would like to know more about this because mushroom farming, it has almost 5 times of waste generated in the mushroom farming, and that can be used as a agriculture input or fertilizer input, and we are working on that in big quantities. So if we can get more details on this, then we can use it as...
You want the how to compost the mushroom spent straw?
No, we have that. Actually, we are already doing that. But in mushroom compost, rather actually button mushroom compost, it is having a lot of actinomycetes because conditioning is done at the 45 degrees to 50 degrees, and a lot of actinomycetes are there in mushroom compost. That mushroom compost, after getting mushrooms, it is used as a soil addition, or we can say biofertilizer, preparation of biofertilizer. And if we can get more details on this, that can be used as a...
No, more details on which aspect? Actinomycetes.
Yeah, actinomycetes and its role.
Okay, I will ask our microbiology scientist to take one class on actinomycetes itself.
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Okay.
Sir.
Yes,
sir.
बता दीजिए एक लेक्चर लेना है actinomycetes में.
Separately on actinomycetes. Actinomycetes are mainly bacterial communities, which are mainly known for the antibiotic production. So in soil or where in any niche they are present, they will produce different kind of antibiotics, and those are saprophytic community of microorganisms which are important for disease suppression. You might be knowing that many of the antibiotics are commercially produced by the anti-actinomycetes group of bacteria. So in soil, they are mainly saprophytic communities which make the balance between the population of organisms and mainly involved in suppression of many kind of plant diseases. So, and they comparatively survive at higher temperature, higher level of that mesophilic community, maybe around 35 to 45 degrees Celsius, and maybe above also. So where other microbe or other group of bacteria are unable to survive, these actinomycetes they survive at that temperature, and they also give the advantage in soil for suppression of many kind of diseases by producing antibiotics. So here there is no need to discuss much about that, but they are important in degradation of that organic residue or crop residue or other manures also, and they are also known for production of different kind of antibiotics. By that they suppress different kind of plant diseases.
Yeah. Okay, Doctor. Thank you. Jaina told no, he was telling actinomyces are not considered by scientists. It is not so. I think in many of the publications, many of the this one you can find about the actinomyces importance and its disease suppressing aspects.
Sir, actually in soil there are three major categories of microbes. One is bacteria, and next one comes actinomyces and then fungus. So bacterial population is more prevalent. After that, though actinomyces are also a kind of bacteria also having the chains like fungal structure. So they are hypha producing bacteria. And their population come next to the bacteria, and after that there are fungal community. So they are playing several roles in soil microbiology. So they come next to bacteria and mainly known for production of antibiotics.
Sir, hello.
Okay, so I will just next lecture, next resource person he has joined. So I have to complete it quickly. And some of the studies, our natural farming studies, indicates clearly due to these varied practices, the cost of cultivation increases by 22% under the natural farming, and the rice yield also it is less by 18%. This is from the farmers field study conducted from our own ICAR-IIFSR center in the Vijayanagaram. But although it has got these several other advantages of improvement in soil health and all other aspects, ecological benefits. The cost of cultivation, which is mainly increasing under the natural farming as studied from these 30 farmers, it is mostly based on the seedling treatment, labor requirement, and also from the insect management preparations, which also requires like you need to collect all the plant preparations and all other aspects for preparing these concoctions. So these also result into the cost of cultivation increase under the natural farming. But we have to be very careful while promoting these type of practices, where there is low employment, where there is a manpower availability is more. So this type of activities will certainly helpful for the employment generation at the local level. So this should be looked at, the higher cost of cultivation or the higher amount of labor requirement for the natural farming should be looked into the angle of employment generation wherever the sufficient manpower is available for the agriculture, especially in the highly populated states and also the highly so these are all the certain limitations of the natural farming. There are farmer to farmer variation in the application of practices, which we have observed during our study. And then these practices are not amenable for the mechanized farming, especially sowing, harvesting, or the weeding. All these gets affected when we go for the polycropping or the residues, means mulching. And then this again limits the utilization of the these implements, many of the implements in the farming. Then it is likely to benefit the low input using areas, especially for reducing the soil degradation, and also it can enhance the yield benefits also wherever the low inputs are utilized by the farmers for the crop production. And we have already initiated the long-term trials, and some of the promising cropping systems which can be promoted under the natural farming, which includes the leguminous-based cropping systems, the soybean-based cropping systems. These cropping systems are performing much better under the natural farming systems. And also, although there is a slight yield reduction in the initial stages, but then due to the other benefits of reduced reduced utilization of the synthetics in the farming, these products are also liked by the consumers also, this one. And what the natural farming should be promoted in the agro by using the agroecological strategies. There are 10 agroecological strategies. These can be fit into the natural farming practices or the even organic farming practices. Also, these both are involving these agroecological strategies, wherein the agroforestry, these habitat beneficial insects, all these are promoted while going for this type of eco-friendly management practices. And nowadays, the natural farming, instead of depending on the concoctions alone, you need to integrate the other practices like regenerative agricultural principles, conservation agriculture practices, all these nutrient management with advanced tools, then micro irrigation, even this Jivamrit and these applications can also be made through the micro irrigation systems also. Nowadays, the filters also, the companies are also started developing the filters also. So this type of advanced practices also needs to be developed. So these are all certain practices, like wherein these organic farming or the natural farming should concentrate on these management practices. One is the enrichment of soil, management of soil temperature, which is very important through the soil cover, plant trees and planting the bushes on the plant. This can be maintained. Then conservation of soil and rainwater. Then sun or solar energy should be harvested to the maximum. That is possible through the organic and natural farming systems due to the polycropping. Then self-reliance in the inputs. That will again reduce the marketized input cost or the market input cost. Then integration of the animals is very, very important in the both organic and natural farming systems, unless the conventional farming systems. So based on our experience, what we found is that the integration of the different practices are much more highly helpful for the farmers in increasing the production, reducing the cost of cultivation, and also achieving the ecological benefits, whatever the ecological benefits are there or the environmental benefits. So the integrated production systems we need to promote, wherein the best practices of the conventional system, the best practices of the natural farming, the best practices of the organic farming can be clubbed together, and that will helpful for the farmers, and that will also avoid the initial yield loss which is happening normally in the organic farming or the natural farming. So initially farmers should start their organic farming or the natural farming systems with the integration of the different practices or integration of the best management practices. So these are all the certain experimental field photographs which I have just in all the states, almost 16 states, we are conducting this particular experiment, this natural farming experiment. We are comparing it with the conventional systems and also the organic farming practices also, wherein we found this type of yield level. The only 1 year study is over. So this way we can have, and these organic foods or the natural foods are having the certain, this one, I will share this slide. So you can go through these slides. Certain antioxidants are higher in the organically produced foods or the naturally produced foods compared to the conventional systems. So this way, this one, as I said, this nutrient package with the major packages which are allowed, like organic farming, we are supplying the 120 kg of nitrogen through the inputs like farmyard manure, vermicompost, cow urine. Whereas in the natural farming conversion, the direct addition is only 3 kg or 3 to 4 kg. And even if the indirect addition through the other practices also considered, it is up to only 70%. But in case of integrated crop management and the organic farming, we are able to meet the whole requirement of the nutrient for the crops. So this is about some of the crops. You can see the crop condition in the Gujarat, wherein the cowpea plus maize fodder, followed by the fennel plus cabbage systems, which are being tested. And similarly, this is at Himachal Pradesh. wherein soybean plus maize for grain and vegetable pea plus green coriander. So these type of systems, these leguminous based systems are performing much better compared to the cereal based cropping systems under the natural farming systems in the initial years. This is like a cotton plus green gram and rabi sorghum plus chickpea. These systems are being tested in this one. Even rice also, many people they question how natural farming practices can be implemented. In case of rice, intercropping can be done with the daincha by growing the daincha in the rice field, and the mulching can be ensured through the introduction of the azolla. Wherever there is a irrigated lowland rice are there you can integrate these azolla or bully green algae into the rice field. That will form as a mulch, and also it will supplement some kind of some amount of the nutrient also. So this type of practices we need to practice. And just this is to conclude, there are yield challenges under the zero budget natural farming in the initial years, especially in the high input intensive areas. So while recommending these type of practices, we need to be very careful, and we need to integrate the best available options from all the three systems, conventional, organic and natural systems, and then promote so that the yield loss at the initial years are very less. And although there are, it extends the chain of benefits to the soil, plant, livestock, human continuum. It protects the environment, makes people responsible in production and consumption. Then it integrates the rural knowledge and opportunities, and also sometimes it creates the employment opportunities also for the rural people. Mostly the health benefits which are highlighted under the natural farming are perceived only. It needs proper study as well as the documentation, and long-term studies already it is started, and hopefully we'll be getting a better result or the package of practices within 2 to 3 years. Location specific and crop specific package of practices will be made available within this one. But still, as of now, the current practices of PMDS, Jivamrit application, Ganjivamrit application, it has got the advantages, but this needs to be integrated with the other best management practices. So thank you very much.